Well, good morning, YouTube. Decided to make another Acorn video from start to finish. Just working through the process of turning, roughing out the blank, and what I have already done here is created a punch in the center of this piece of walnut. Measures 1.5 inches, roughly by 3 inches. Usually a pretty good size for me for acorn blanks. Just get my centers there, and I'll always start out with a roughing gouge. Make sure it's not hitting the tool rest. So here we go. There we have it round. I use my Bedan tool here, just a straight edge. And it's not very crucial the size of the tenon that you make, as long as it's fairly straight. And then you can get your step center out. And then replace it with the tenon in the chuck. Make sure it's seated well. And you can remove the tailstock. You've got plenty of support here. And once I'm getting ready to start here, I'll once again use the Bedan to make a slight recess to differentiate the size of the body and then the size of the top of the acorn. You can get a bowl gouge. You want a little point there at the end. I used to, at least that I do. I'm just getting the acorn smooth. See, it's a little out of round. Just getting that cleaned up. It's getting pretty close. Going to use the bowl gouge as just a scraper. It's fairly close to the shape I want. This tip is a little bit big, so I'll round it down. Alright, that's pretty close. For the most part, that's done. The body. Using the Bedan tool, I'll create the space for the stem on the top. And then here's where I'll always go back and sand the body. I don't usually slow down the lathe to sand such a small piece. We want to focus on getting your end grain sanded. It's the hardest part to sand. Get it sanded. Working through the grits, 120, 180. And we'll finish up with 220. And here's the 220. Just check it. Looks good. Got some little scratches here. Sand those with the grain. All right, and again, that's time for some finish. Yorkshire grit is what I've been using a lot of now, and instructions tell you to wipe it on while the lathe is off. Sometimes do, I sometimes don't. But this time, I will rub some Yorkshire grit in the black can, get it on, make sure it's on all the parts. And then turn the lathe back on and let that friction polish some of that wood even more. You can see it's starting to get a shine. All right, that's the black can. Now for the white can, get another piece of that cloth. Just rub that in. And once it's all over the Acorn, you can apply your towel again. This is really one of the easiest projects you can do on the lathe if you're beginning. But easy stuff is really enjoyable too, even if you've been turning for a long time. It's fun to use different tools. I usually have the opportunity of doing some different tools when I make this. You can make this about with any tool that you have. I tend to go with the bowl gouge for the most part. I'm going to get my tendon a little smaller here at the end. Pretty close. And I like to get the tops of these acorns pretty flat. What I've seen here and there about acorns and what they look like. Alright, I'm pretty close. I'll use my parting tool here to keep this down a little bit. I'm going to use, get this shaped a little bit more here. Flush, and then I'm ready to take it off. There you go, and you can see the top of this is not sanded, and you'll see why here just in a second. But I'll take my Dremel tool here, and this is a carbide bit I got separate in Amazon, and really works good. And what I like to do is make dots in the top of the acorn. Make sure to really hold your acorn. Get this against your body. And what I'm trying to do is just touch the acorn, make little holes, indentions. Go around the base at first, try not to touch the body of the acorn, and I'll go ahead and zoom through the top of this. And then I'll take my piece of 220 and lightly sand around the top of the acorn. I'm just looking at it, and it's going to be rough. It's supposed to be. And then finally, Howard's Feed and Wax orange oil. I'll put some on the top. We'll soak this in here. Just let that permeate the top of the acorn. Get it in all the little holes that you made. And you see how much darker it gets because of the end grain. See how dark it really gets and soaks in, and that's what you're going for. And it'll give it some contrast to this wood once you let that soak in for a second. And get your towel and dry it off a little bit. And there you go. Start to finish. And acorn, 200-300 more to go. Hey, thanks for watching. See you next time.